Hey book nerds, welcome to my channel. So I'm finally filming my November TBR. I think it's going up a little late. Everything's going up a little late at the moment. I'm incredibly busy. In November, I really want to read a lot of fantasy books. I really want to read a lot of kind of autumnal books, and I also have several books that I have to get through before the end of the year. So it'd be really nice if my Snakes and Ladders TBR board was nice to me. So if you've not seen these videos before, this is my Snakes and Ladders TBR. I play the game of Snakes and Ladders with myself. This decides what books I'm going to read each month. I will link the previous ones down below. Do check them out, particularly the Halloween one. I put quite a lot of effort into that and I was happy with how it turned out. Speaking of the Halloween one, I actually failed my Snakes and Ladders TBR for the first time ever. I didn't read 3 books, which means I will be adding, spontaneously, 3 prompts onto this month's. So I pre-film the actual game footage for my TBR, so it gives me time to kind of work out what I want to read. But because I filmed my TBR, I will now be adding the 3 onto the end. So it's all going to be a very ad-lib. But first, you're going to see what I've rolled for the initial 5 prompts. Last month we had the spooky board and I ended on this square, which was a spooky square and now it is a normal square. I left my little figure and my dice at home, so this kitty is representing the figure for this month, and I'm going to use a random number generator on my laptop, so you just have to trust that I'm using the same numbers. So let's get the first number is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're on 29, which I still haven't filled in, so I'm just going to roll again. 3. 1, 2, 3, and snake, all the way down to non-fiction book. So my first roll is very suitable if I was doing non-fiction in November, which I'm not, but I'm still glad to have an excuse to read a non-fiction book, and the one I've gone with is Queerbaiting and Fandom. This actually doesn't have the author name on the cover, and I don't remember who it's by, but I will put it in the description. This is one of those books that I got off NetGalley that is kind of like someone's published dissertation rather than an actual book. It is about queerbaiting in fandom. I am interested heavily in both of those things, so I thought it'd be kind of cool. It's edited by Brennan, who edited one of these that I've read before from NetGalley that I really didn't like, but it will have a different author, so I'm hoping that that will make it more interesting. But yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this one. 3 again. Check I go the right way. This way. 1, 2, 3. Physical book. So the next prompt I got was to read a physical book, which is terribly timed because I am currently at uni, hence this little filming setup. And most of my physical books are at home, including the ones that are my end of year goals or anything like that. So thankfully I've gone to the library and I have some library books, and the one I've gone with is Flawed, which I believe is a collection of kind of short stories. There's 7 authors, I think. Yeah, so 7 short stories, and this is about some people are in an elevator together, and I think they each have a story that is told by a different author and their lives come together somehow. Not too sure on the actual details, but I've heard great things about this. I've been meaning to read it for a while and I couldn't resist picking it from my library when I saw it. So this will be my physical book prompt. We have a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Horror, yay. So the next prompt I got was horror, which again, ordinarily I would be all for. However, I've just spent an entire month basically reading nothing but horror, but it's fine. I've got some arcs that are horror that I need to get to, and the one I have chosen is Slash by Hunter Shea. So this is a horror book about, there is a woman who has survived some massacres and then she is found by her husband and she's hung herself, but she's left behind some clues about the identity of the serial killer who tormented her. So her husband goes back to the house where it happened, I believe, to try and solve what happened and find the murderer. I think that's the plot. I'm actually really looking forward to reading this. I requested it on NetGalley a while ago and I actually got a reminder email from the publishers, so I really want to read it quickly because I feel kind of bad about that. But yeah, it's just a shame I'm not in the mood for horror at the moment, but the board does what it wants to do. Another 3. 1, 2, 3. Retelling. So finally we have a prompt I'm actually into, and that is retelling. So as mentioned, I like to read a lot of fantasy books in November, and a lot of retellings are in fact fantasy books. Once again, my library has come to the rescue, and I have a copy of Queen of Hearts by Colleen Oakes. I've not read any Colleen Oakes books. I think she wrote one called Wendy Darling, which I'm also into, and I want to say she wrote the Black Coats Society or something like that, which came out earlier this year, which again I really want to read, but I don't remember what that book is. But this is a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. It's focused on the Queen of Hearts and it's about her life beforehand. I don't really know how it differs from Heartless by Marissa Meyer, which I did read and really enjoyed. The description on the back doesn't really distinguish between it, but this is quite good reviews. I love Alice in Wonderland, I'm always looking for great retellings of it. And it's also got this really beautiful back, I just wanted to point that out because I think it's really nice. So yeah, hopefully this will be one I enjoy. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Snake back down to physical book again. I cannot believe that I got the physical book prompt again. I don't think I've ever had it before in my TBR, or at least if I have, it's not come up frequently. And now it's come up twice when it's the least convenient. So on top of what I mentioned before, I'm also on holiday for most, well, I'm not on holiday, I'm in London for 2 weeks for my PhD, and then I'm in Disneyland for 3 days. So I'm not actually at home with access to my physical books until like the 17th of November. No, in fact, later the 20th of November it is, which is crazy. And now I have physical book again, but I'm once again going to go with a library book, and that is How to Hang a Witch by Adriana Mather. I don't remember much about this book. I've read the blurb and it's a little vague, but it seems to be about a girl who is connected to the Salem witch trials, and there's also a group of people whose relatives were persecuted by the witch trials. There's a ghost in it. There's like a handsome ghost character and a neighbour and something about history repeating itself. I've had this book on my TBR for ages, and I was really happy when I saw it in the library. I knew I was going to pick it up, and I was hoping to read it in October and didn't get around to it. So I think it'll be a good November book, and at least it's kind of related to the sort of stuff I want to read this time of year. And the final number is 2. 1, 2, number in the title. The final of my original prompts I find absolutely hilarious because if you don't know, it's Buzzwordathon this month. It's like the 6th round, the 7th round. I will link the Twitter down below, but the theme is a number in the title, and this is the first time this has come up on my TBR, so it's actually perfectly timed. It's one of the few prompts so far that I'm really genuinely happy about. I'm going to read this book, which is 21 Proms by all these different authors. I think this is 21 short stories by 21 authors, all themed about different proms. This again is a book I've had on my TBR for a while, and I noticed it in my library. Most of these are library books, and I'm glad I can read it. I might not. Buzzwordathon's at the end of the month, and I don't really want to leave all my library books or my physical books to the end of the month, but I also don't want to take them with me, so I don't know what order I'm going to read these in. I might even read this before Buzzwordathon even starts, but we shall see. And now, having gone through my pre-filmed ones, I now have to do my spontaneous footage for 3 more prompts, as if this isn't going to be hard enough this month already. So I'm really, really, really hoping I get some nice things now. The first number I generated was 4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, horror again. So our first bonus prompt was horror again, which it could have been worse, I'll say that much. and at least it gives me the chance to clear off more of my arcs. So I've gone with Violet by Scott Thomas. This is actually a book I'm very, very excited to read. I read Kill Creek by Scott Thomas at the very start of the year. Absolutely loved it. I'm pretty sure it's close to a 5-star read for me. This is about a woman who, I believe when she's a child, her mother dies, and then as an adult, I think her husband has just died as well, and she returns to her old hometown, and then something creepy happens with her old imaginary friend. She's kind of haunted by her imaginary friend from childhood. I believe that's what the book is about. It sounds so cool. I love Scott Thomas's writing. I'm really intrigued to see what this does with the idea. It came out kind of around the same time as Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky, and that book was a little disappointing for me, so I'm hoping this might realise the imaginary friend horror concept a bit more in the way that I like. The next number I got is 2. 1, 2. Thriller. Okay, I can work with that. So I landed on Thriller, which again, it's not ideal, but again, I can work with it. It lets me fulfill a little more of my end of year goals at least. So the book I've chosen is The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. This is one of my 2018 releases that I wanted to read in 2019 and haven't got around to it yet. This is about I think it's told in 2 time periods, and in the first time period it's about boarding school and these 4 girls who attend the school, but something mysterious is going on there. And then the other more present timeline is about a woman whose sister died outside the school 20 years ago, and her sister's boyfriend was accused of the murder, but our main character isn't convinced that that was the case, and she hears that the school is going to be reopened, so she goes back to the school to investigate what happened. And I presume that you kind of the events unfold in both timelines, which I really like the sound of. This received some good reviews from last year, from what I remember, and I'm definitely glad to finally be getting around to it because it does sound really cool. Final number is 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anticipated thriller. Okay, I can also work with that. Final prompt was an anticipated thriller, which is from something I abandoned a while ago, so I should change that square. But again, I'm just going to go for one of my 2018 releases that I wanted to read before the end of the year. And I've chosen Her Pretty Face by Robyn Harding. This, I think, is about 2 women who make friends. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Big Little Lies from the description, because it's like 2 women who are the parents of kids at this school making friends. But from what I remember about some booktubers talking about it, one of them, you know from the start that one of them is a murderer, you just don't know which one it is, and the secrets kind of unfold from there. I think that's what it's about. I haven't actually heard many people talking about this apart from Books and Lala, I think it was, so I'm not too sure what I'll make of it, but it's one of the ones I really wanted to read this year, so I should probably actually read it. So yeah, so those are my 9 now prompts, because I failed last month, so I have to atone for that failure. I'm not going to pretend I'm happy about the results, but I've got some really good books to read here, and I am excited to read most of them. It's just not ideal given the circumstances. But yeah, let me know what you are reading in November. Let me know if you've read any of these, if you think any of these are going to be really up my street. That would be good to know. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. It helps me out massively. And I hope to see you next time.